So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kristi Katzke.
What do you do is a question people ask one another all of the time. Hello, nice to meet you, what do you do? Wouldn't it be interesting if when we met people we asked, what makes you happy? My job as a case manager at the Blanchet is not just something I do, but an extension of how I see myself as a person. I'm a lot of other things. I'm the mom of 4 amazing adults, one there, a proud grandma who tries her best not to gush about how adorable they are. And anyone who knows me knows I love my dogs. And even though I have so many great things in my life, I don't think I really knew myself or how much love I was capable of until I began serving others. Gandhi said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. I first heard this quote about 15 years ago, and it really resonated with me. So with this in mind, I began a journey. After my last 2 teenagers informed me they already knew everything, I began to think about what I wanted to do next. Armed with 30 years of mothering as my skill set, I started volunteering at a soup kitchen in East County. Just a couple of Fridays a month serving the homeless and hungry in the area. At some point, I began grabbing a plate of food and sitting with the guests. I'd never really interacted much with the homeless before, maybe handed out some sack lunches or volunteered to collect clothes, but never this personal, face-to-face contact. Sometimes they shared about themselves, their struggles, and sometimes we just talked about the weather or politics. I soon realized that there was not much that separated us. We all have experienced loss, disappointment, or trauma in one form or another. It occurred to me how we stopped seeing folks in need as part of our community. Their presence can make us uncomfortable or frustrated, and because we don't understand or know what to do, we look away and hope someone will help them. I decided to be that someone. One of my favorite artists, Vincent van Gogh, who himself suffered from addiction and mental illness, yet created such beauty, said, "Your profession is not what brings home your weekly paycheck. Your profession is what you're put on earth to do, with such passion and intensity that it becomes a spiritual calling." I believe this was true for me. As a case manager for Blanchet House for the past 4 years, I have had the privilege of intersecting in the lives with hundreds of men in need of another chance. We provide them with the time and space to stabilize physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Our goal is simple: create an atmosphere where hope and in a happy, meaningful future can be renewed, or for some, found for the first time. Our guests arrive under various circumstances: addiction, loss of employment, underemployment, and mental health issues. Men experiencing trauma from past and not so past experiences. We see men with success in life, having had a home, families, career, education, and a support system. And some arrive having experienced none of these, having struggled their whole lives. There's a common thread in these guests, though: resiliency. It's the resiliency of the human spirit that drew me to case management. The fight in someone that says, I can do this, I can still have a life. It's the ability to change and accept life on life's terms. This is what makes my job as a case manager at the Blanchet so rewarding. Few people can say they get to witness people grow and change their lives. I am blessed to be part of that. Somehow, Blanchet operated for 60 years without my position, without case management. We did a pretty good job of feeding, clothing, and housing men in need, but we realized we could do more, that there was a gap we could fill and improve what we provided and improve the chances of success for our clients. We saw where the men were struggling to get connected to services and maintaining long-term sobriety. Don't misunderstand, our guests are smart and resourceful. They survive things that would completely derail most of us. What was missing was wraparound support and the connection to community resources. Our case management program offers support through weekly meetings, a life plan that helps men identify goals and work on communication, learning coping skills to better face trials and setbacks, and employment and housing referrals. My job is to come alongside and fill in that gap, bringing awareness of resources and encouraging them, though some might say it's nagging, encouraging them to address real-life issues that might be difficult to face, broken family relationships, health issues, and financial repercussions of their past. It's not always a bed of roses. Sometimes the men can be challenging. Sometimes I can be challenging. A couple of years ago, I had a gentleman who I was pretty sure was going to fight me all the way. He was a pain, and I told him so. After a few sessions, I saw his attitude start to soften. He became receptive to the idea that I was not out to be a thorn in his side, and things began to change. I would like to believe it was because he began to trust that I had his best interest in heart. Later, when I shared with him, I had thought he was a pain in the you-know-what, he responded with, "I thought the same thing about you." This gentleman successfully left our program into his own apartment and a great job. Sometime later, he graciously volunteered to do some work for me in the Blanchet House. And when I thanked him, he said, "Anytime," to which I responded, I didn't want to take advantage of his generosity. And with all sincerity, he said, "I used to be an angry, grumpy," I'm paraphrasing, "and now I'm not." And I will never forget that. And he hasn't. He continues to be a valued, trusted friend to me and the Blanchet organization. Thank you all for coming to support the Blanchet mission. In doing so, you've become part of our community. And a good thing happens when community comes together to support one another. None of the services we provide would be possible without you, our partners in this work. I have the pleasure of introducing one of these determined, resilient men. JD has been with the Blanchet House for 17 months, moving from working in the kitchen to a position as our driver, then to his own job and a fourth-floor resident. He is a source of positivity and support at the Blanchet. JD.
Thank you very much. Thanks, you guys, for having me today. My ex-wife, Dee Dee, happened to be supervising nurse at Mercy Medical Center in Roseburg the day I went to the ER. I hadn't been feeling well for a few weeks. The look on her face said it all. I was in trouble. She immediately had me shipped to Rogue Valley Medical Center for ICU. I spent 10 days there. They took 12 liters of fluid off of me on a Monday and 5 more on Thursday. When your liver fails from alcohol poisoning, you start to retain fluid. They stick a tube in your side and they have vacuums pumping it out. It was humbling lying in a hospital bed watching liters of fluid be removed from my body and set up on a table next to me. I was sick and I had no one to blame but myself. Let me tell you how I ended up in the hospital. I'm not someone who comes from an abused home or had problems growing up. I was raised by a good family, given good values, and have been lucky to have a great, fulfilling life up to that point. I'm lucky to have many friends and family in my life who care about me, including my ex-wife Dee Dee and her husband Paul. They'd be here today, but they had prior commitments out of state. They're hands down my greatest support. I owned a successful catering business and 2 Hawaiian restaurants in the Roseburg area with my business partner. I had spent time in Hawaii where I learned how to cook over an open pit barbecue. We did really well until the market crash of 2008, 2009. Business slowed and I lost the businesses. Around the same time, my mom had gotten sick. I moved in so I could take care of her, then I lost my 2 best friends in a car accident. Many more friends and family followed. It was a snowball effect. Being in Roseburg, which is an economically sensitive area, it was hard to find a full-time job. I was working part-time, living with mom and taking care of her, but I started drinking to go to sleep every night, and I was incredibly depressed. I just lost my spark. I've never been through anything like this. This is not the way I was raised. I was raised good and proper. Alcoholism is a big thing in Douglas County because it's so economically sensitive, and now that I'm on the other side, I see it. You know what? I didn't even like the taste of whiskey. I was drinking it to numb myself. I had lost so many people and things in my life. I had never had problems with drinking before. I was just watching everyone around me go away. 2 to 3 years I spent living with my mom, taking care of her. I'd wake up in the morning, take care of the house and the 10 acres of property. I'd go home and drink, trying to get some sleep. But I was killing myself at the same time while watching her die. After I was released from the hospital, I went back home to my mom's. and we had a very good relationship. She said to me, "You're going to die if you don't go away." She goes, "I'm going to die anyways, so don't worry about me." I looked into 60 and 90-day programs in the area, but I knew they weren't long enough for me to really change my life for the better. So with the help and support of Dee Dee and her husband Paul, I came up to Portland on December 2016 to live in another recovery organization. I didn't know about the Blanchet House at that time. After 9 months of getting my health and self-worth back, I was ready to move on. I was ready to work and start building a new life. On April 13th of 2017, my mom passed away in her sleep. Not only was she my mother, but she was also my best friend. I promised her that I would finish this journey to rebuild my life, and I've stuck to it. A friend and resident at Blanchet House, Scott, told me about it. He said, "Are you serious about what you're doing?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Then this is the place you need to be." When I came to Blanchet House in September of 2017, I got my spark back. I started off as a driver. I was amazed at how open everybody was. They accept you for who you are, they get you on a schedule, and they get you ready for life. The driving position is demanding because you're on call 6 days a week, sometimes 7, give you a great opportunity to network with people and reestablish your consistency and your credibility. I had to get the fire back in my belly. I've never not had that. Many good things started happening, and soon enough, I went into Kristi's office one day and I said, "I got my fire back, sister." Blanchet House has given me the opportunity to regroup, reload, rebuild, get healthy, feel and be safe, definitely grow more patient, have more empathy for people and understanding, and get my value back as a person. I drove for 7.5 months, and I went to interview at Pacific Coast Fruit. I've been able to save everything while living here, and I'm concerned about saving the money. I have plans, and I need to figure out the best thing for long term, so I'd like to work 4 10-hour days and then start catering again on the weekends. I see some guys get up on the 4th floor and they don't stay there full time. You get up here and you get focused on working and planning the next steps of your future. Guys need to stay as long as they can. So many guys get 1 or 2 paychecks and they bounce. May 15th is my exit date. I got a pretty good idea where I will live. I'm on a list of apartments and I'd like to stay in Portland. I'm worried about being lonely when I leave, so I'm looking at renting an apartment nearby to stay close to the community at the Blanchet House. We have the friendships I've built with the group of guys I've been living with are dear to me. I love you guys. We've laughed, we've cried, we've enjoyed many meals and time together on the 4th floor, and I'm sure this is one of the best groups of men that's ever came through here, and I'm glad to be part of it. Even though I work full-time outside of Blanchet House as a resident, I give back by volunteering once a week in the Founders Cafe. Volunteering is a constant reminder to me that I've been lucky because my family and friends have been so supportive. These people we serve who are homeless or still someone else's family member, and you can see that they used to be handsome or very pretty. I'm grateful for being alive and for you guys. Thank you. I will always be tied to this place. This is like home to me. And I've told these guys before, I'll be back. I've already warned them. I got one more page here, sorry. I want to thank Pacific Coast Fruit team, David, Nancy, and Tom, and the whole crew there for their support of me and the opportunity it's given me the 1 year I've been there. It's been tremendous. This entire Blanchet staff is amazing. They're supportive, they're positive, they're professional, and these people are my family. Thank you very much for allowing me to share this.